I'm Peter Nelson, and I'm a board member of the Southwest Seattle Historical Society. And I'm standing on the corner of California and Alaska in the West Seattle Junction. And today is September 19th, 2014, which is the birthday of Frances Farmer. It would have been her 101st birthday, and so I decided it would be a good idea to give you a Frances Farmer 101. Now, most people know Frances Farmer as the Hollywood actress from the 1930s, and they also possibly know that she had a very traumatic, tragic life in the Hollywood sphere. But there's many things about her life that are to be celebrated beyond the Hollywood glamour. One of which was that she was born and raised here in West Seattle, and she lived in the Admiral District. She was alumni of the West Seattle High School. And way before she was in Hollywood, she got international press for writing an essay called God Dies, where she actually gave some of her points of view, a student's point of view, a young person in the 20s point of view of what religion and spirituality meant. And this kind of was a controversial thing back then and got some bad press and some good press on it. She continued to write and do many, many different things at West Seattle High School, and she moved on to do classes at UW. Originally, she wanted to be a journalist, but once again, as a woman in this time, they didn't think that she could be a journalist. They didn't think that that was something that a woman would do, and so she kind of just decided to go into acting, which was another love of hers. And her interest was in the legitimate theater. She also was very socially minded and started selling papers for a socialist magazine on campus. And she won a trip to the then Soviet Union during a time when the communism of the beliefs in communism and socialism was not really, it was a pretty difficult topic here in the United States. But she won a trip to the Soviet Union, and she wanted to go check out the beautiful theaters of Russia. And so it was on this trip that she ended up landing in New York and searched to become in the legitimate theater at the Group Theater, a very socially minded theater group at the time, one of the most known to be, do controversial theater stuff. It was there, while trying to get into the Group Theater, that she was picked up by Paramount and was moved to Hollywood and became a starlet. And in her first couple years, she started doing some great films like Rhythm on the Range alongside Bing Crosby, and then the famed Come and Get It, which was up for Grammy, Oscar award-winning movie. So those are some movies you can see her in. But Hollywood wasn't really her scene. She was an outspoken, rebellious woman at the time, and she believed in the legitimate theater. So she actually got to go in and become part of the Group Theater and really made a huge name for herself as an actress in the theater. But Hollywood called her back, and it was there that she started becoming even more outspoken and kind of fighting against this whole starlet idea that they were pushing on her. At the same time, there was many things about the starlet life that she didn't believe in. She drove a second-hand car, she wore second-hand clothing, and she didn't always present herself in the public as like a public starlet that many of the starlets of the time were doing. So one of the other things at this time that was very key was that they were giving starlets diet pills that currently include things that would be in that could cause schizophrenic behavior. But this is before they knew that any of these kind of pills or things could cause this sort of thing, things that are like in methamphetamines and different stuff like that. And she started showing signs of some outrageous behavior. And so it's these kind of stories, and then the possibility that she was institutionalized. She was institutionalized, but there was the belief that she possibly was lobotomized while in the institution. Even though none of it's confirmed that that was the truth, it still is one of the popular beliefs of her story. And so it is really important for us to kind of look back at what it meant to be a strong, outspoken woman at the time, especially in the limelight of Hollywood. The way that the social understanding of that kind of person, and just understanding what mental illnesses can be. Instead of really focusing on that, it's best to kind of think of her as being, you know, an outspoken, strong female character. I find that Frances Farmer, for me personally, has represented rebellion, has represented outspokenness, and I kind of got started in my interest in history by learning about her and her history here in Seattle and West Seattle. I used to be able to go walk to her house and show friends her house that's in the Admiral District where she grew up. And I started doing walking tours with my friends. And that led me to do even more research into the history of West Seattle and continue doing more and more walking tours and presentations on her history and West Seattle history, which has brought me to become a board member today. You can read more about Frances Farmer in books like Shadowland and Will There Be a Morning? One that was an autobiography. And you can also visit Shadowland in the West Seattle Junction, which is named after the book Shadowland. Though I must warn you that many of the histories that are in Shadowland were a little bit over dramatized, especially the part about the possibility of her lobotomy. So do your research, and she's an amazing person, and check it out. I'm Peter Nelson. Thank you.